Well, it's over. Yeah, okay.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedon. College terms and conditions apply. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, welcome to a joyous Locked On Spartan show. This is going to be a real good one. A lot of smiles we'll be sharing today on this beautiful Saturday here. I'm your host, Matt Sheehan. We do this 5 days a week. If you ever want to reach out, LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com. And please rate, review, subscribe, comment below if you would like. And I would be remiss not to welcome any North Carolina fans that want to get this side of the recap. Congratulations. Best of luck moving forward. And welcome to all rival fans, too. I know you guys are here. Why wouldn't you be? This is probably the best win of your season. Ha suck it. That's right. Boom, roasted. That's how bad the season was, man. It's like... Your rival goes 8-24, and you can't even fully enjoy that because what you're watching every single day with your own team isn't really all much better. No, not really. So let's just get into the mix, folks. Really quick, actually, but before we just start chopping it up about basketball, shout out to the gymnastics team. All right, they won the Big Ten meet that took place at Jenison. So just want to get that out of the way before we deal with comments of, oh, you never talk about gymnastics, Matt. How come? Okay, there you go. Congratulations to the gymnastics team. For the hockey game, that's about to drop in 3 minutes. So I'm sorry we don't have a recap of that right now. We'll get around to them later this week. This ends a complete and abject failure of a season. And I know those are very harsh words while the body is still warm on the year. But there is no other way to slice it than that being a complete and utter failure on all accounts for anyone that touches this program. That is completely brutal. That is not nice, especially after, well, there's probably still sweat dripping off of these hardworking players. But man, we're going to go through it all. We're going to go through the game, go through the year. But right now, we're going to talk about this whole era that just came to a close. And what I mean by that, I don't mean the Tom Izzo era, okay? I just mean like the last 3 or 4 years since COVID, because like many other programs, Michigan State basketball goes through eras. And again, like many other programs, specifically here at Michigan State, quite often that's, coincides with a point guard going through here because, well, at Michigan State, normally a point guard is a starter for 2, if not 3 years here. I think maybe the only era you wouldn't pin on a point guard is the Draymond Green era, but again, that's a conversation we could have later on. This era of Michigan State basketball that just came to a close is probably... I don't even know why I said probably. It is the worst era of basketball under Tom Izzo since he took the job over in the mid-90s and was trying to get the program off the ground. Ever since COVID, 1 Sweet 16, 1. And they kind of choked that game away, too. They wouldn't stop helping on Marquise Noel so he could just offer it up to whoever was cutting on the baseline. Anyway, that's last year's old news. And you've also had zero seasons that were competitive for the Big Ten regular season championship in the month of November. Whenever that calendar turned to February, whenever that calendar flipped to February, MSU, ever since COVID started, was not even in the Big Ten regular season chase. So yes, this game sucked. This year was horrible. But as all of you are well aware, this has been a tumultuous stretch of Michigan State basketball. Now, look, I don't mean for this to be personal against the players because you guys know by now, if you've listened to the show, you know that I'm a huge Malik Hall fan, okay? Kid worked his ass off here. He only broke his foot 37 times. He only took 95,000 face shots when he was here, and he also may or may not have broke his back last year. That's a hardworking kid. All right, very grateful that he was able to have a healthy season. Tyson Walker, you could say the same thing about him. That guy was a lightning rod, but just like in this game, far too often he was the only one doing anything on the court, had no help, and then the losses racked up. So Tyson, thank you for transferring here. Thank you for your offense and also your defense, which is what I will miss. And then AJ Hoggard too. This tweet is from John Kirby. Great podcast over at The Only Podcast. Go ahead and listen to them. But AJ Hoggard, the 5th Michigan State point guard to rack up 600 assists, and we'll just leave it at that. Nothing against these kids personally, but man, what you don't get remembered here for how many assists you racked up. You don't get remembered here for how many 20-plus point games you racked up. You don't get remembered here for anything else, however many third-team All-Big Ten awards that you may or may not have made. You get remembered here by raising banners, all right? This is not a program and a fan base that recognizes individual awards over the program success, and there hasn't been any program success in the last 3 or 4 years. So when we talk about the end of the season, I think it's appropriate just to talk about the end of this chapter or the end of this book. All right, it's done. Now let's get a little bit into the game here. And I got to say, perfect game to sum up the entire season. The symbolicism just all over the game was a little bit too on the nose because you had it all this game. The first 12 minutes, glimpses of greatness, what this team could actually be. But it was just that, just like it has been the entire season. Just glimpses of greatness. Sure, yeah, you'll get 2 really good games against Baylor and against Mississippi State. That was fun a few days ago. Glad that amounted to something. But by and large, whether it was just commercial break by commercial break or maybe a half they play really good and then fizzle out in the second half, this team very rarely put it together for a full game. Only 2 games I'm counting. Sure, the end of the Illinois game was fine. We'll call it as three games that you played to your potential, just because we're feeling nice today. Sure. But more symbolicism with this game. Wasted possessions. When North Carolina is barnstorming on their 25-3 run to end the first half, you are letting the shot clock bleed down to about 8 seconds before any real action happens. And then heave-ho, we're chucking a prayer up there, just praying to God it finds the bottom of the net. And how often have we seen that throughout the season? What sticks out to me, namely the Ohio State game, that kept happening in the last 11 minutes of that one. And of course, well, that was a loss. So you had that. You also had the nice little fake comeback in the second half that they had against, James Madison, Arizona, Duke. There's a comeback to be had in the second half. They made sure that they cut it to 2 points just to defecate all over their shoes in front of national television audiences and just not actually close the deal. Tyson, yes, he was great early on. Free throws, still an issue. That was one of the weirder storylines of the entire season is that, hey, he's our best offensive player. Why can't he string together 2 made free throws in a row? AJ Hoggard and the layups, which has just been a problem the entire year. And I know that there's a small vocal minority of AJ Hoggard supporters that really get on your case if you don't talk about him as if he's Cassius Winston or Magic Johnson. So I implore any of you out there to let me know in the comments below, what was your favorite missed layup today? Was it the 4th time he got blocked by Armando Bacot, or was it the completely wide open layup he missed with 2 minutes left, or was it the one that he absolutely got obliterated on? And no, he wasn't fouled that hard, guys. All right, even if there was a foul, I don't think there was. Was it that one that would have made it a 2-point game? Instead, North Carolina came back down to the other end and they scored. So go ahead. For anyone that has been crying that we're too hard on AJ Hoggard on this show, sure, he had some fine games. Going to need a little bit more than fine games from a senior point guard at the end of the season. So just a great game from him, though. 1 of 10 shooting. Let's see here. We got 3 turnovers, but hey, 4 assists. And I know that the AJ Hoggard army out there is going to let me know about those 4 assists and wonder, hey, why am I always so hard on him? Good God, glad that chapter's finally come to a close. What a complete joke of a 3-4 year run that was. That was just repulsive. All right, we're going to keep chopping it up more about this game. I need a little break here, obviously. We're going to talk your ears off about Nissan. This week's March Madness Bracket Highlight is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out. Well, Michigan State stands out, not for the right reason. A team that's pushed it further than the rest, just like any of the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs. These guys were able to take it to the next level, like the Arizona Wildcats. They can only be described as an Armada. This 2-seat is as hardcore as it gets out there, so it's no wonder they took it to Long Beach State in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Their They're a favorite picked by many to make a run and will face Dayton this weekend for a chance to go to the Sweet 16. Or, hey, how about our Oakland Golden Grizzlies? They're obviously this week's Nissan Rogue. This team absolutely surprised us all with a powerful performance in the first-round upset against the Kentucky Wildcats, giving them their biggest win in program history. They say, win life, go Rogue, and that's exactly what the Golden Grizzlies have done here. So take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Also, hey, finally won a bet on FanDuel this week. That's right, I took North Carolina money line because I knew this team wasn't going to perform well on the road. Anyway, say goodbye to busted brackets, and Lord knows I got that going on over here because FanDuel lets you bet on every single game of the tournament. Whether you are betting on a big upset or just the one seed, it's time to go dancing at America's #1 sportsbook. This is the beauty of FanDuel, guys. My bracket, blown to smithereens. I had Kentucky, Auburn, and St. Mary's all in my Final Four. Didn't even get past the first round. But hey, I'm still going to have some fun once this loss washes over me at FanDuel because they have the props, they have the totals, they have the spreads that are going to keep me interested in March Madness. So right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets. If your first $5 bet wins, that's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. All right, let's start talking about, or keep talking about this game and all the just symbolic themes that we saw here. And I got to say, look, I'm not in the camp of Tom Izzo is washed. The game has passed him by. I still think, despite, some patterns of what we've seen this year, that he still has it. He's still one of the better coaches in the nation. However, here's a pattern that keeps happening that is gravely concerning to me. It's, hey, Tom, you can use your timeouts, right, in the first half while the other team is blitzkrieging you on a run. North Carolina, 25-3 run to end the half, and I think it wasn't until it was a 17-2 run where Tom finally burnt a timeout. And I get it. There's a TV timeout in between. I get it. North Carolina, their defense was incredible. And it was. It wasn't all just on Michigan State. North Carolina was playing incredible defense too. But where do you think you're playing? This isn't the Baylor game at Little Caesars Arena. All right? Like, this isn't a game at a neutral court site over in Salt Lake City. You are in North Carolina's backyard. You know what your team has done the entire year? Crumbled on the road once it gets even just the slightest rough out there. So as this run is mounting by North Carolina, as the crowd is getting more energized, the team is shrinking, and we had to wait until it was a 17-2 run, I believe, to call a timeout. And that has been a pattern that we've seen all season that just cannot continue to happen and still be considered like, oh yeah, no, a coach that is still sharp as a tack. That is something that really, really bothered me. Second half chances. We'll talk about that for a little bit because they had their chances to cut it to a 2-point lead. Many a times they came out of the halftime gates firing, cut it to a 2-point lead. But I got to say, a really bad feeling when, yes, the Hogard fast break layup that we just lamented about, he gets swatted out of the baseline because that's just what was in his game plan today. Hey, make sure when you take a layup, make sure it goes right into the palm of whoever's playing defense against you. Did not have a great feeling when that rebound went off Malik Hall's leg. Okay, North Carolina ball bank shot. It was just shades of the Kansas State game last year. And then you had Xavier Booker lost on defense a little bit. And by then, I mean, Michigan State was getting back cut to death, and they just fell asleep on defense here and there. And that's how you get the 85-69 Tar Heel victory. A game that I don't think was that close. Or I'm sorry, was that much of a blowout. I'm not using that as like a moral victory. I'm just stating that because of just the context of this conversation. Like, I think it was a closer game than that. I'm not raising a banner because, hey, I think it was more of like an 8-point game than a 16-point game, but you get what I mean. Plenty of chances in the second half and just refuse to take advantage of any of that. There's also one more thing here that I'm going to rail on. And again, this is a vocal minority. I think by now that most State fans are aligned here, but during the game in the second half, you see some people complaining about fouls or how it's a lopsided game or how UNC is getting way more calls than Michigan State. And yeah, sure, that's accurate. But do you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to cry about it. It was a home game for North Carolina. It is just human behavior to side the home team with the whistle than it is the away team. You want to do something about it? Don't lose 13 games in the regular season and get seeded so poorly that you do have to play a de facto road game in the second round. Like, you did that to yourselves by losing against Ohio State and Iowa and James Madison and not closing against Minnesota on the road, not closing against Illinois on the road. I mean, take your pick of the 13 games. You win 2-3 more of those, you're maybe on the 7 line. You're maybe even on the 6 line if you are really serious about yourself and you want to take care of 4 or 5 games that you very easily could have won. So that way, you're not going up against a bona fide home team. So sure, yeah, were they a little physical with Michigan State and then they called a whistle whenever we were around Baycott? I guess, but what did you think was going to happen? That's the benefit of being a 1 seed. You get to play at home. That's the downside of having such a bad regular season. Well, that you limp into the tournament and you're on that 8-9 game. I get it. Oh, they're supposed to call the game both ways. Grow up. It's human nature. Okay. They got 14,000 Tar Heel fans going crazy. You think the ref is going to stop that party? No. Good God. So there was just a complete failure on all levels. So once again, we got like a cool 2-minute glimpse of Mady Sissoko there at the start of the game. That was something else. But by and large, I mean, this team was an average big man away from maybe winning 3 or 4 more of those games that we just talked about and maybe moving up the seed line, because Michigan State, at the end of the day here, they just got 6 combined points from their center position. And I believe that's only the 3rd or 4th game this whole year where they've gotten combined 10-plus points from their center position. Like, they failed at it today. They've only achieved it 3 or 4 times during the year of getting 10-plus points from the center position. That is something that could have been patched up in the offseason. You've heard us crying about it throughout the entire year. All right, so it's a little appropriate to talk about it at the end of this one, where you realize, hey, maybe just an adequate big man could have solved a lot of the problems here for Michigan State, not just in this game, but during the whole season where you're losing 13 games and maybe 4 of those are different, 5, maybe even 6 of them are different. If you just have a big man that actually has post moves, like real ones, like not the fake ones that you're seeing from the center position here, where you're just wondering who they think they are and why they think they're Joel Embiid all of a sudden and can just do these whatever. You guys heard me railing that throughout the whole season too much already. So, but yeah, during the season, complete lack of leadership that we've been seeing the last few years here. That's why I'm kind of excited to end this era of Michigan State basketball. So yeah, that's the lawn and nasty of it. We're going to get to a little bit more here. But first, need to talk your ears off about LinkedIn Jobs, folks, especially for you small business owners out there. LinkedIn Jobs is here to help you hook it up in the hiring game. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to go check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster, and my favorite part, for free. Now, LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to the professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many qualified candidates. So easy that, in fact, 86% of small business owners get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that you are wearing so many hats as a small business owner, and you might not have the time to resource that hire. So join the 2.5 million small businesses out there using LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions, got that right, they apply. All right, now what for Michigan State here? As we traverse into the most important offseason, well, since the last one, obviously. That's just one thing I find funny, is that every single time you talk MSU hoops or the offseason, like, someone's going to say, well, this is the most important offseason for Tom Izzo. Every offseason is important. Like, if they were actually serious in this offseason and actually had players developed or actually patched up a few holes in the transfer portal, we wouldn't be having this somber episode right now, and I wouldn't be coming off as this green and white Eeyore to all you beautiful people out there. But yeah, every offseason is important. But things to watch out for. Look, AJ Hoggard, Mady Sissoko can come back. I have a tremendously hard time believing that will happen for either of the two guys. One, because AJ Hoggard, his quotes after the Michigan game in Ann Arbor were pretty definitive. All right, there was a lot of The book is coming to a close. Sorry, I'm losing my words here. Monty Sissoko, look, cool 2-minute stretch today. He looked pretty good against Mississippi State. I got a way bigger sample size that says that he should be playing outside of Power 6 college basketball. I have no pleasure in saying that. Monty is as great of a human as you could ever hope. If either of my two sons even grow to be a quarter of what Monty is as a human, then that is a successful life that they have lived. With that said, can't catch a ball. Rebounding really goes in spurts, and we have been here for 4 years and we haven't developed a single post move. So it's time to go. Hard conversations are going to be had, but yeah, I would be shocked if either guy is back. Now, as many of us know, Malik Hall cannot come back, unfortunately. Tyson Walker, he cannot come back. So where does that leave the rest of the roster? Jaden Akins, he entered the NBA draft last year. Was that about just getting feedback to see where he has to improve for next year? Maybe. Does he actually have serious inclinations about going pro? Maybe. Or with anyone on this roster. I don't want to sound like an alarmist or that I know inside information, because I will be straight with you when I do and straight with you when I don't. I don't have much inside information right now. I'll let you in on a little bit that I have, but in the day and age of the transfer portal, it's never a 0% shot with any of these kids, right? For a lot of reasons. One, like, hey, they want to go closer to home, or, oh, they want to play for a different coach. But in the world of NIL, the best way to get a raise, kind of like in many walks of life, is by leaving the company you are at, by leaving the team that you are on. The Athletic did a wonderful piece on NIL and how much money transfers actually get instead of just staying at their schools. So again, I just want everyone to be on the same page here. I'm not saying that this entire roster is going to jump in the transfer portal, but no name should be a surprise. Now, the name that everyone wants to know about is Xavier Booker. And there's a guy out there on Twitter, goes by the name of Trilly Donovan, like just a fantastic follow. This guy has the almanac and all things college basketball. He was asked the other day or week, like, hey, what are your thoughts on Xavier Booker? He said that it's likely he will enter the portal. Now, the news I've gathered is that things are in good standing right now with Michigan State. So again, this will be obviously the biggest name to watch this offseason. Is Xavier Booker, was he convinced enough at the end of the year and how he was utilized to come back? And also, let's not kid ourselves, Michigan State, strong NIL too. I'm sure they're going to make him handsomely paid, match any offer that he could possibly get in the transfer portal, but sometimes it is just more than that. Did the line about playing time throughout the season get to him a little too much? I don't know. Stay tuned for that one. Again, I'm not getting on here and being like, hey guys, everyone panic right now. I'm just going through the list of off-season storylines, and to say that isn't one of the most important would just be lying to you. So that's what we got right there. Yeah, beyond that, just keep an eye out for everyone. It's a transfer portal era. It's crazy. So that's what we got. Let's go ahead and click on the YouTube comments. I'm sure everyone's thrilled right now. Oh, Nick writes in, AJ Hogarth makes me want to grab a beer every layup he misses. You wouldn't be watching this right now. You would be on the floor face down on your carpet with just, I think, about 7 or 8 empty beer bottles around you. It was okay. Javon Small season. That's right. Another Trilly Donovan disciple right there. Javon Small. Let's just bring this up right now. Oklahoma State starting point guard. All right. He averaged about 15 points for him. I think I shot the 3-point ball around 38%, but he's in the transfer portal. Now, you might say to yourself, why would Michigan State be interested in Javon Small, which is what Trilly Donovan kind of alluded to last week on his Discord channel. Why would Michigan State be interested in a point guard here? Are we saying like Trey is either on the move or that Jeremy Fears, God forbid, is on the move here? I did get panicked like for a quick second when I saw that, but after settling down, I didn't read it like that, because I know like maybe on the surface it seems weird for a point guard to transfer to somewhere else and not be the point guard. It's a very alpha position. But what did we just see here the last 3 years? We saw Tyson Walker, who's a point guard at Northeastern, and he came here and he transitioned into mainly that 2-guard role. So could be open. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that Akins is on the fly? Why is the staff already kind of supplementing that wing position? That could be right on the wall for Akins, perhaps, or maybe they just see a really nice player out there and kind of want to bring him in for a little bit. So that's my whole thing on the Javon Small situation, again, out of Oklahoma State. So that was a interesting piece of news that just dropped back. Now, Nick wrote in, would MSU recruit Michigan's center? That is Terrace Reed he is talking about, former top 40 recruit, and obviously picked Michigan over Michigan State in the end. So would I take him personally? Look, if you want my thoughts on the center position, I'm going to keep it straight with you. If you have 4 functioning limbs, a heartbeat, and you have somewhat of a post game, yeah, I'm going to be all in on you. Now, Terrace Reed, I will say, if you're going to talk to someone that's sane, I don't think they're going to pursue him. Not the greatest offensive option. I think that is something that they're going to want to add here in the offseason. Yes, he shot 51% from the field and roughly 6 shots per game. But man, that 58% free throw shooting really kind of shows you how much of a shooter he can be. I just don't know if they're going to pursue Terrace Reed. But if you want my just one fan's opinion, yeah, I would take a flyer on him because I'd take a flyer on damn near everyone that's 6'10" or taller. So, oh man, this was this was something, guys. Thanks a lot for joining. Thanks a lot for watching, whether you watch after victories or after losses. But yeah, that was that start seemed a little too good to be true, didn't it? And once UNC started to get some stops and make some shots, you've seen this team play on the road long enough this year to know that, okay, that's it. And we know that coach on the sideline ain't going to call a timeout. He's going to let this place turn into a madhouse. And that it did, and it was just too much to overcome here. So this was a miserable season. Again, we started this year saying it has to end with a regular season Big Ten championship banner or a Final Four banner. Did not get close to either of them. And guys, even if you take away the 4 ranking to start the season, the top 5 ranking to start the season, this season's still a complete failure if you want to be considered a blue blood. Imagine Kentucky, or Kentucky is maybe a bad example here after their recent tournament stretch, but imagine a Kansas, or hey, a North Carolina or a Duke going 4 years with being irrelevant in their conference and then not making much noise at all in March Madness. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that, oh, this is fine, and also say that we are a blue blood. No, if you want to be serious about your program, be a serious fan, this is chalked up to a complete failure. So let the next era begin. We'll see what we come out as after this offseason, whether it's players that have left or players that Michigan State has added or some combination of both. And let's get ready for the next era of Michigan State basketball. Guys, really appreciate you listening, tuning in. LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com if you want to keep on ranting and raving about this team or anything that's happened. And on the football season, we go. Good luck to the hockey team again. They're playing right now. I have no idea what the score is. So General Fresh says this is not a failure. I don't know, unless you're the owner of Fieldhouse in East Lansing. I don't know how the last 3-4 years could be described as anything other than a failure. So unless you're a Tar Heel fan, that's probably another one too. All right, guys. Till then, love you all. Go Green.